Vista Mayor John Franklin believes he's going to be ousted from the SANDAG board due to his opposition of the mileage tax.
Ed Lenderman is live at Vista City Hall with the mayor discussing what could happen tonight and what we're seeing play out in a number of other cities. Hey, Ed.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. Our discussion, good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Ed.
Our discussion with John Franklin continues. He was with us about 20 minutes ago when we started this dialogue, which is how in the world are we going to do all this in 3 minutes? But we're going to give it a shot. Representation on SANDAG's board is the issue tonight before the Vista City Council. Right now, Mr. Franklin is Vista's representative on the SANDAG board, but there are 3 members of that board, Karina Contreras, Dan O'Donnell, and Katie Melendez, who wants somebody else, probably Melendez tonight. So the headline is, as Lauren and Paul said, you're going to be ousted tonight, probably, but for how long? Because you've got a game plan as well. So what is going on here? Because normally the mayor, Bill Wells for El Cajon, the mayor of a particular city is the SANDAG representative, but now there's some behind-the-scenes stuff going on in Chula Vista as well as Vista as to, no, we want somebody who supports our interests, and in this case, we don't want Franklin as our representative. So far, so good?
That's right, Ed. There are 3 members of the Vista Council that want to remove me from SANDAG because I'm a vocal and effective opponent of the mileage tax. The mileage tax is still very much a part of the 2021 regional plan, and I have fought it vocally. The issue tonight is that they have taken the power away from the mayor to make the appointment to SANDAG. I offered to send Joe Green instead of myself.
Joe Green is one of your supporters on the council, or your only supporter.
That's right, and they refused to send anybody who was opposed to the mileage tax. I refused to nominate anybody who favors the mileage tax. So they changed the power, they took it away from the mayor, and tonight they intend to withdraw me from SANDAG and to send Katie Melendez. The problem is, as I see it, is one of our council members is a lobbyist of the SANDAG board and therefore is ineligible for consideration to serve as the representative. And I believe, Ed, that she needs to recuse herself from the vote. And if she recuses herself from the vote, then they won't have the votes to withdraw my name. I also think
reality is she's not going to recuse herself.
That's up to Karina Contreras. She's an advocate, an influencer for the Climate Action Campaign. She appears at all the SANDAG meetings on behalf of the Climate Action Campaign with a message to influence the board of directors. I think it's inappropriate. I hope and I'm sure that she will choose to do the right thing in accordance with the Fair Political Practices Act and recuse herself from tonight's decision.
Right. You'll forgive us, but political observers are saying in reality that probably isn't going to happen tonight and you will be removed. But you're saying if you are removed, that isn't the end of this. Now, you can't have your city attorney weigh in on whether, if she says it's a conflict of interest that I don't be the representative and she's recused herself from that, isn't there a conflict of interest simply because she's in this position, whether she wants to be the representative or not? Shouldn't she recuse herself from this vote? And the city attorney can't weigh in on that?
So the city attorney has made clear that it's the role of individual members of the council to police themselves. But, Ed, the ultimate authority on whether or not a conflict exists and whether or not tonight's vote would be valid absent a recusal will come down to a court of law. And, Ed, if there's not a recusal tonight, then I will represent all the people of Vista, and I will go and I will seek an opinion from a judge. And if, in fact, there is a conflict, then the judge will reverse the decision.
But meanwhile, you're not on the board, and they got what they wanted, at least partially, and who knows how long the courts are going to take to weigh in on something like this, because it's not before the Supreme Court.
That's right, but this is precisely why they don't want me on this is precisely why they don't want me on the SANDAG board, because they know I'm a tough fighter, they know I communicate with the people, and they know I find ways to communicate the message. And I want to say one thing before we wrap here. This is not about the left versus the right. This is about downtown versus the suburban communities like East County, like Vista. This is about the hardworking families that rely on their automobiles to get to work, and it's about the elites on the other side who want to push folks off of their automobiles, their single occupancy vehicles, and onto the bus. And, Ed, how do you get to the grocery store, get the kids from soccer, and get to work every day if you don't have the freedom, the economic freedom of an automobile? That's what this argument comes down to.
All right. We also talked to Mayor Bill Wells, who's an ally of yours from El Cajon at 6 and 7, and he will tell you that it is about the left and the right simply because the left wants to support labor. That's what Mr. Wells is saying, because you can imagine a $163 billion project, the money at stake here as it relates to labor and the left. That's Bill Wells' opinion, and we wanted to share that with you as well. Well, good luck tonight.
Thank you, Ed.
Or good luck in front of the courts. I think that's really the operative phrase, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, we are live in Vista. Stay tuned, as we say, meeting at 5:30 tonight.
One
Back to you
question,
guys,
Ed.
or this afternoon.
One question for Mr.
Yeah.
Franklin and yourself. Even if the proper people were sitting on the SANDAG board, the mayor's like, I mean, this is being repeated in Chula Vista, for instance. Even with the right people in the right seats on SANDAG, would it change the outcome of a mileage tax vote? Are there enough different people sitting in the wrong seat to alter the outcome of the vote? The way I see it, it's still a landslide for the left, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, Paul is basically reiterating what we're saying with this weighted vote. Right. San Diego and Chula Vista have a weighted vote. So whether or not somebody from Vista that supports the mileage tax is sitting on the board or not, that's not necessarily applicable in reality, because San Diego and Chula Vista are still going to prevail. This is more about appearance. This is more about support in the North County, where some representatives, Jim Desmond and Rebecca Jones, are saying, we're against the mileage tax. You haven't fixed the roads that you promised to fix, and now you're simply telling the voters with the Transnet tax, sorry you voted for that. So what difference does it make whether Vista is represented or not? But you would then say there's an appearance issue here, that we've got somebody who is in favor of the mileage tax, and they live in Vista.
Remember that you had Councilwoman Terry Gasterland from Del Mar on KOSI about a week or two ago. We defeated an effort to amend the Transnet tax that was adopted by voters. A 2/3 vote at SANDAG can amend the priorities that the Transnet tax that we will pay for 61 years in this county can amend the priorities. Ed, they're trying to take the money away from Highway 78, Highway 67, Highway 52, and they're trying to put it into buses and trains, because right now 2.5% of the public relies on those buses and trains. And as a guy who rode buses and trains and couldn't afford a car for 3 years of his life, I know how important supporting public transit is. But Ed, the rest of us depend on our automobiles to get to work.
All right, voters already approved that. They approved the Transnet, and SANDAG can amend that and say, sorry, you voted to increase the taxes because we promised you a road, and we can rescind all that.
It's a bait and switch, and that's why every vote on SANDAG is critical. But Ed, as I said before, my voice, the meaningful opposition, continuing to keep these issues in the forefront, standing with you right now and making sure the people of San Diego County and of Vista know what's happening at SANDAG. This is the reason they don't want me to serve on the board.